You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to V.A.C. Roundtable number 70. And this is going to be a little unique discussion today. We were supposed to have a guest, but unfortunately canceled at the last moment. So that gives us the opportunity to do a little bit of self-promotion today. So we have a lot of things going on with our members in the coming month. So we figured we'd take this opportunity to do a little bit of education for you all, as well as just enlighten and point people in directions if they want to get active. If there's things that are happening they want to get involved with, those are opportunities that are there. So our first up will be Council Member Tony Landry. He is down in Louisiana, and he is prepping for a rally on the steps of Baton Rouge, the state capital there. And he's going to take the time to tell us all about it. So welcome, Council Member Tony Landry, and how are things going there in Louisiana?
Thank you, ATN. Welcome. Nice seeing everyone. And I'm all excited. Have the permits for our speaker. We have a rally coming up, a veterans rally for Home Grow on March 11th. Is the opening day of Louisiana's legislative session. And so we'll form up at 8:30 in the Capitol Rotunda and set up some tables for lobbying legislators. As they come in around 10 in the morning, they'll start coming in to the Capitol for the 12 o'clock noon opening. The governor raps the gavel and opens the 2024 Louisiana legislative session. So what I did, I started back in January, myself and Angela Broussard, who runs Louisiana Medical Marijuana.com, LAMMJ.com. She and I are collaborating again this year. This is our second rally at the Capitol for Home Grow. And Angela has created this website where all the rally speakers and all the is on there. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna share my screen, kind of go over the rally with you, and just take any questions from anybody in the group here. So see if I can get this going. Share my screen. Open this up. Okay. So this is the LAMMJ.org, Angela's website, and it's a lot. There's the logos up here. The participants in the rally: Louisiana Veterans Medical Cannabis, Veterans Action Council, Blue Basin Canna, Pippi's Purpose, which is a CBD retailer in Louisiana. They're going to speak, Blue Basin and Pippi's. Here's the kind of the itinerary, the agenda. In the military, we used to call this like kind of the plan of the day. So the plan of the day is to show up at 8:30, set up the tables in the rotunda. Then we'll form up a flag detail out at the Veterans Memorial Park, which is, it's about maybe like 100 yards, might not even be quite that much, outside of the Capitol doors. When you face in Louisiana State's Capitol, it's on the right side of the Capitol. So we'll form up out there at Veterans Park, and we'll have lots of great speakers. And here's some of the speakers here. Angela, here's her website. This is last year's rally. You can see we're the flag detail here. We'll have 4 flags. So we'll be looking for some flag detail volunteers, like a honor guard, if you would, if you want to help out with the rally and participate into a historical rally to get home grow in Louisiana. I mean, that's a big thing, and we're gonna work on that and this year. So this is an opportunity. If you want to join in and help us, you can join in. And then after the rally out of the Veterans Park, the speakers, the flag detail will lead us into the Capitol, and you can see in the rotunda here, we'll have some tables set up with some information on the tables for you'll have a lot of public comes in, the media will all be inside there. So and then let's see who else we have here. Try and get back. Okay, Brandy Pett is a veteran. She has a podcast. Yes, I'm the veteran. Brandy had some, she's an Air Force veteran, and she had some injuries to her leg, and she started a podcast, and she just recently interviewed Rosie the Riveter. But Brandy's, I believe Brandy said she's from San Antonio or Austin. She's going to come in and speak at the rally in support of our home grow. So the next speaker, I'm not real familiar just from social media. The Curly Creole, she's got a lot of followers, 14,000 followers on Instagram, and she's got a big TikTok presence. She's going to speak there at the rally. Casey lost her daughter to fentanyl overdose. She spoke at the rally last year. Casey started a nonprofit called Lyrics Legacy to honor her daughter and to save lives. She said her mission in life was just to save lives. So she and her team go out to Lafayette, Louisiana area bars and maybe restaurants, and they bring the Narcan for them to have on hand there and give it to them free. And that's some last year's interviews when Casey spoke at the rally. So she'll be here, and she'll be at the rally and handing out Narcan and speaking with legislators. Hopefully we'll have some harm reduction bills. Those kind of things save lives. Home grow cannabis save lives. So that's the reason all these speakers have agreed to participate, is they want to help save some lives in Louisiana. So Bill Richard has been active at the Capitol and advocating for hemp. He owns Blue Basin Cannabis in downtown Lafayette, Louisiana, CBD shop. And as you know, all over the country, the legal cannabis industry and maybe the recreational too, but there's a big push to shut down the legal hemp industry. And in Louisiana right now, these hemp retailers are losing a lot of business because of new laws they're trying to pass, and it's driven by it's well known, driven by the medical marijuana industry. They don't want people to have other access besides what they have, with their cannabis. So Casey White is also he's in Vegas right now. I just talked to Casey, texted. He's at a convention in Vegas, but Casey's going to speak to the corporate and small business kind of seems to be that's the odds at the cannabis industry, corporate cannabis and small business. And he's got the hemp company, Pippy's Purpose, and so he'll be speaking about the business end, because these guys are getting squeezed out of the Louisiana market. So that's about it. Let me see if I can get rid of this share screen. Okay. That's about it. I'll have on the table, we'll have a binder with all the bills, the index, and all the bills that are the cannabis, hemp related, harm reduction related bills. We'll have that on the lobby table. So as a reference, if politician comes by and you need to, maybe ask for an amendment on a bill or ask him to support a bill. And if he's unfamiliar with it, we'll have that on the table to show, him. We have our permit for Veterans Memorial Park. Let's see, I have my hat. Actually went out and got a haircut in between the legislative sessions. I kind of let the Cajun come out in me, but I had to go clean up a little bit to be out there advocating for us veterans here in Louisiana. I wanted to make a good impression. And so we got me a little haircut there. So, but
well, thank you for that, Tony. I think Council Member Laughter has a follow-up question for you.
Yeah, okay. I do, Tony. That all looks great. I actually have a question and a comment. I'll do the question first because the comment's going to take a minute. The question is any portion of this, including the speeches, likely to be videotaped where someone like myself who can't make it to Baton Rouge might be able to hear what goes on or what's said? Is that possible? And then the comment is, I think the woman's name was Brandy Pettit, who had the Air Force veteran with the leg injury. And I wanted to call out her bravery for being willing to dress in such a way that you can openly see the wound, the trauma inflicted on her lower leg. And as a young woman, that's a huge statement of bravery in our culture. And it makes me want to meet this woman. So I bet she's a pretty amazing person. And again, to my question, any chance of hearing recordings of some of the things that are the speeches or whatnot? Thank you, Tony. And great work, by the way.
Thank you, Wade. And yes, Brandy is an amazing woman. I met her in Louisiana at a mixed martial art match. Brandy came in to do some media work there, and I was invited to do some media work with my Louisiana Veteran Medical Cannabis. But Brandy she's going to have all the speakers on, as many as we can get together on February 29th at 2 p.m. Central Time. We'll have a podcast, and Brandy's going to interview myself and Angela and some other veterans. Hopefully we'll have 2 or 3 veterans on there getting interviewed, and civilians as well, the speakers. But she'll be live streaming, excuse me, let me get a little sip. She'll be live streaming at the Capitol that day. She's got the equipment to live stream. So, and we also have combat veteran, excuse me, Thomas Benwall is from Lafayette here. He's a combat vet. He's got a combat photographer. Excuse me, Wade. He's a combat photographer. So he'll be having his camera there, taking pictures and all, and doing stuff too. But we will be live streaming on the social media platforms, and hopefully everybody's going to be hashtagging, Louisiana Veterans Rally or something, and on their photos and uploading them to their social media. So it'll be kind of like a deposit of photos there and videos. But yeah, we're getting excited. It's coming together. We're still kind of looking for if somebody wants to help sponsor in Louisiana, maybe a home grow, a gardening company or someone, in the hemp industry that sees our work here. We're doing some monumental work. All these folks that are at the rally have all spent time at the Capitol testifying. I've seen them there, myself and Angela for sure, but all the others have testified in favor of, drug policy reform and stuff like that. So they're all some good movers and shakers. So I'm hoping we get all of their followers and things will show up at the rally, and we'll have a lot of numbers there that so the legislators will actually see that, we have a lot of people on our side, that we really need home grow in Louisiana. Because even opening up dispensaries and stuff, it's going to take a couple years to get that brick and mortar place open. But home grow is the quickest way to get medicine to our sick patients in Louisiana right now.
It's also the quickest way to make the medicine affordable.
That's correct. Yes, correct. Because
we got a follow up from Brian Buckley, and we got a couple more after that. Councilmember Buckley.
Thank you, ATN. Long-time listener, first-time caller, so it's great to be here on the show. Tony, usually the first step is like the most difficult step. What words could you provide if you have some veterans who are interested in coming out but have never done anything like this and might be a little intimidated to really kind of take that first step to kind of come out to a rally and discuss this stuff? Thank you.
Thank you for that, Brian. And yeah, I would suggest to veterans who want to come to the rally is if you're concerned about being seen by the stigma in Louisiana is still so thick. It's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate seeing all 38 states with a medical program and over 25 states, I think, with adult use and home grow in most of those places, or many of them. But in Louisiana here, although we're grateful for our program, we still have a lot of stigma that people still look at cannabis as a criminal act, and so people are reluctant to come out to a rally, especially if they're young and in the business community. They don't want to get some companies see them out there at the rally and then not want to hire them, or their church might not want them around, or family members, what have you. But yeah, other than that, if you do want to participate in the rally and come out and meet the politicians, just go on YouTube and look at some of the I have a Louisiana Veterans for Medical Cannabis channel on YouTube. You can go there and watch some of the testimony of not just myself, but I go to the archives on these important cannabis related bills, and I'll chop up the video into kind of bite-sized little pieces, like 2-3 minute videos, so people can just get a little blip of what the important thing is on there to see. But that's how I learned. I watched some of the veterans around the country, just got on YouTube and started searching and watching testimony, and all that time, I gained confidence to be able to go in and speak with legislators, and you'd be surprised how many want to hear from you. They actually do want to hear from you, want to hear your side of you. So yeah, that's my suggestion. Just follow either if you follow that Louisiana Medical Marijuana, LAMMJ.org. We'll post all the updates on there, and Angela does a really good job with that website to plug in. If you want to plug in and get emails when we have action at the Capitol, you can do that. Louisiana, you can sign up for email notifications for these meetings as the session starts. You can get notified on cannabis related bills and track them. And whenever they show up in committee, you just show up there, and every bill that goes through, by law, they have to let the public comment. So you usually get a 3-minute window that you can get in there and say your side. It's not much time, so you got to really get rid of the extra words and get you what you need to say very succinct and to the point. But you'd be surprised, just a little bit of effort from concerned citizens that want to get involved, how much it really makes a difference, to legislators. They seem to listen when you go over there. If you don't go, then can't expect much to happen.
Absolutely. That's the part about this participation democracy is you have to participate in it. So next up is with a follow-up is Council Member Nate Landau.
First of all, Tony, I want to really thank you for all your hard work. I know that doing this in Louisiana, it's hard everywhere, but Louisiana has extra complications. And I know you have a target on your back. So I really appreciate what you do. My fiance grandmother has MS, and she tried to go through the medical program and got ripped off. So my question for you is, you always see a headline, oh, Georgia now is legal, but then they haven't had a dispensary open in 3 years. So there's a big difference sometimes between what the headline and the law says and what actual patient's access is. So my question is, what is the actual, like, how easy is it? What's the quality of medicine for patients at the
Okay, I picked up on what's how easy is it to you broke up there. Can you please just repeat the last part of it?
Yeah, no problem. What on the ground right now, if I'm a patient in Louisiana, how complicated is it to get a medical recommendation? What kind of products are available? How expensive it is? Like, what's the reality on the ground as a patient?
Okay, so the reality is it's very easy to get a medical recommendation in Louisiana for cannabis. Our legislation started out with some very serious conditions back in 2015. You had to really just a very small window of patients that fit into that program. And then we came back in 2017 or 2018, excuse me, myself and two other veterans went to the Capitol to push for a bill when it hit committee to add chronic pain and PTSD in Louisiana to the program. So that's initially when we got product in 2019. So the pharmacies started getting their licenses and coming online for that first year in 19. But so the product where I wanted to go with that is it's very easy to get the license, but the very little of it you would have to drive. Some people have to drive over an hour and a half one way from these small rural. I mean, we're second in poverty in the nation, so we're not wealthy state by any means, and our product here is being priced 300% markup. They actually testified in court in the committee on the markup down here. And it's all just simply because we only have 2 growers, and they're licensed through our university system down here. And the university systems are just a middleman holding a license and collecting 10%. LSU gets 10% off every $100 we spend. We give LSU $10. And so in the state, Louisiana gets 7% to manage the program, the health department. So we pay 17% of what I call a hidden tax, because in Louisiana we have a law that no medical products are to be taxed. No, your cane, your walking stick, nothing medical related can have a tax on it. And medical cannabis is medical related, so it shouldn't have all that tax on it, other than a little small amount to manage a program or something. But we're paying all this money to LSU, and they marked it up because there's no competition whatsoever. So they marked it up. But yeah, easy to get the card. It's so easy now, because they came back in a couple of years after we got chronic pain and put it to where your doctor can do telemedicine. They don't even have to look at your records. It's so quick and easy, like 5 minutes, you're off the phone. 15 minutes later, the dispensary's calling, you go over and get your medicine. It's that quick and simple, because you can have it recommended for any debilitating condition. Now, you don't have to have any serious stuff. You just tell them, I'm not sleeping well. Okay, here's your recommendation for the year. So it's like $80 for the recommendation for the year, and then the cost is so high. I can spend about for 1.5 grams of flour a day and about 3 bottles of tincture and couple bags of edibles. I remember I spent like $1,000 a month for 2 months, and then I was like, okay, this doesn't make sense. I got to stop this. So I've been in and out of the program, but this year, who knows? We have the session. The legislators can put in as many bills as they want. 2 years ago, we had like 20-something cannabis-related bills, so we could get some bills that just open up the market, because there was some pushback in Louisiana at the session on the current situation, where you have 10 dispensary owners in the state of 4.5 million, and those dispensaries, once they get 3,500 patients, then they're able to go open another location. So it's kind of favoritism, to corporations, which our Constitution has a clause in there that was put in years and years ago, that the legislators could not pass laws that they had a conflict of interest or special privileges to corporations that was outlawed, in our state constitution. But it seems with this program, there's some violations, but nobody's challenged them yet. So we just have to hope that some legislator gets something in, and then the governor signs it. So.
All right. Councilmember Jones.
Thank you,
Peggy.
Thank you, Tony. So for any veterans that are watching that want to help with your flag detail, do they need to have a uniform or a specific dress attire, and how would they reach out to contact you in order to participate?
Oh, thank you for that, Peggy. No, just show up. I have all the parade quality flagpoles with the brass screws on them, and the eagle tops and all that. And we have 4 flags. So if you just show up, that morning, or email me if you want to email or contact us through lammj.org. Drop a email to their website, and we can give you more information. But it's pretty. Just show up, and just think of it like this. If you go and play football, you wear shoulder pads, but if you go into the Capitol to talk to businessmen in business suits, you don't have to wear a suit, but dress with a collared shirt, kind of. I like that. I mean, but hey, if you come in a tie-dye t-shirt, I don't care. If you just show up, that'd be good enough too. But it's nice to present yourself like you mean business. You want to talk about $1 million industry or $1 billion industry, and you're here to discuss some laws. So it's nice when people show up and they look at kind of like semi-business dress.
Absolutely. You got to dress for the success, and you want to look the part when you're up at the Capitol. So thank you very much, Tony, for that update on Louisiana. And I guess Wade has one more, and then
No, actually, it's more of a joke slash thing that happens in my head. Every time I see a man in a suit with a tie around his neck, it looks way too much like a tourniquet that's cutting off blood flow to his brain. I'll end there. Thank you.
yeah, you don't have to wear ties, but if you want to look like the others, they are. So go get a custom shirt and make sure it is nice so it doesn't strangle you, so you can wear it properly. Right. Okay. With that, we're gonna kind of shift, and we're gonna go to the state of California. Council member Nate Landau is not only with the Contra Costa Normal, he does work in Sacramento and lobbies and keeps up on things. And there's been some change in California, especially around this year, SB 34, which is a bill that we have been using to donate medical cannabis to patients for free. Sunsets. So we were anticipating SB 34 to come up again this year. However, that has changed. So with that, I will turn it over to Council Member Nate Landau.
Hello, can you hear me okay? All right. Well, yes, California, is the birthplace of medical cannabis. As you all know, the first state to legalize it in '96. The whole, what we call cannabis industry, stemmed out of the cannabis community and compassion programs. Was the start of it with Brownie Mary giving out edibles to AIDS patients, and that evolved into Proposition 215. And then when we legalize, California just doing everything in such an amazing job, we're like, oh, you want to donate to people in need? We're going to tax you on it. So in 2019, we helped pass a bill called SB 34 that will allow businesses to legally donate medical cannabis to people with a medical card. Unfortunately, they put a sunset clause in it, which is going to expire in February of 2025. So we were hoping to get that one exactly renewed, but that didn't happen. California has a huge budget deficit. So this year, any bill that costs the state any money is going to be very, very hard to pass. Just an example, a few years ago, they tried to change how DUIs are written out. So like for alcohol only, alcohol and drugs only. And it thought it wouldn't cost the state anything, and ended up costing the state like almost $1 million because they had to reprint hundreds of thousands of forms for all the cops. So, but luckily, shout out to Nicole Redler from Recompass and Dale Gillinger and Ellen Kamm from Cal Normal. They worked really, really hard. And on the day of the finish line, because in California, you have to introduce bills by February 15th if you want them to be considered. They were able to get a sponsor. I believe it's Assembly Member Cruz. Sorry, I'm going to have to get you back. But the bill is 2555, so it's going to be in the Assembly and then go to the Senate. Because of the budget deficit, we can't make any changes to it. So that means it's not going to be codified into law. It's going to get extended for 5 years again. But right now, we will take, we just don't want the program to finish. So we will take any victory we got. It is going to be an uphill battle. It has to go through a lot of committees. It's going to be very veteran focused because that is something, as we know, is harder for politicians to shut down when veterans are asking for it. So anybody that does SB 34 events in general, especially with veterans, we're going to need your help. We're going to have a petition circulating in the next month. We're going to have a call to action. So every time it hits a committee, especially the committee chair, we're going to have a letter that all you have to do is put your name and press a button and send it. Those letters or call their office does help, especially on a state level. It really does. They get, the day before they go to the committee, they get 500 emails and 100 phone calls. Somebody on the fence can change their mind. So please be on the lookout for it. This is a really, really important bill. It's the main cannabis bill in California. There is the reintroduction of the consumption lounge bill that we got vetoed last year because the governor was concerned about secondhand smoke for employees. So it's the same bill with this extra added language for ventilation. So there's a lot of anti-smoking, as California knows. There's very anti-tobacco smoking. So those groups and their lobbyists are very anti any smoking. So hopefully it's ventilation. And then the last thing is they want to kind of merge the hemp and cannabis industry. So a licensed cannabis companies will be able to sell hemp. They're going to reclassify what hemp food is. Yes, I will get more details. They did introduce it 2 days ago, but it's looking like a solution looking for a problem. California loves doing that. So those are the main things. I'm sure there's going to be some teeny tiny technical bills, but that it is. So please, again, SB 34, it's now AB 2555 needs all our help. And yeah, if you have any questions, I'm here to answer.
All right. Doesn't look like there's any questions on our end, but we'll keep up on things. And thank you very much for that update, specifically, Nate. Appreciate your update. Councilmember Buckley, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Nate, if you can find out who is co-sponsoring that or sponsoring the bill, sorry. If you can send that to me in an email, and I'll tie you in. Just a couple of groups I work with on the Cannabis Chamber of Commerce have taken an interest, and I just want to update them as well what's going on with SB 34.
Will do.
Yep, now 25.
Great job, my man.
Yep, now 25.55, and absolutely great job, Nate. We appreciate it, and keep us in the loop. As a Californian here myself, I want to make sure, since we're one of the pioneers in actual charitable giving and have been doing it for 25 years now, I would love to continue to be able to do so. Okay.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
Are you looking to get your medical cannabis grow license? Limestone City Hydroponics can help patients through the process of obtaining their license to grow medical cannabis. What's that? You don't have a doctor? If you meet the medical criteria, Limestone City Hydroponics has a nurse practitioner who can assess and provide medical cannabis prescriptions. What are you waiting for? Contact Limestone City Hydroponics at limestonecityhydroponics.ca or call them at 613-548-0420.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Cannabis edibles are an effective way to manage pain and other ailments, especially when you deal with your trusted partner, Legacy 420, in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. You see, we lab test every product on site to ensure proper dosage every time, which is critical when consuming cannabis edibles. All Legacy 420 edibles are made by our classically trained baker and chocolatier, and we also have super tasty vegan options.
Our baker has been in the industry for 25 years. She's also a chocolatier. Everything from savory to sweet, your chocolate bars, brownies, butter tarts, you name it, we make it.
Talk to our knowledgeable Cannatex about our incredible variety available. Give your trusted partners a call. Legacy 420 out on your road.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Next up, council member will be Wade Laughter. Wade has an actual event coming up tonight, so we'll let him share. So, council member Laughter, you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Jen. Mine seems kind of, well, whatever. Yeah, this evening I've been asked to join an ongoing radio show. We're fortunate enough here in Nevada City, Grass Valley area to have our own local publicly funded radio station, KVMR, broadcasts at 89.5 on the FM, but you can find, they have a nice online presence. And yeah, this evening I'm joining the folk that do the Good Herb Report on KVMR, and there's an archive of previous shows. And yeah, they did I don't know, about an hour plus interview with me a while back, and then cut it up into bite-sized pieces, if you will, and they're available in the archives of the Good Herb Report on KVMR. And I personally am excited about it because I feel like my health, it is what it is, but I still can talk. So I'm going to be doing more of it. And yeah, so this evening is my next opportunity to make that happen. And yeah, they have a nice online presence, so you can find it. Yeah, Good Herb Report. That's Kilo Victor Mike Ringo. On that note, I'll sign off. I'll be here for a little while longer. But yeah, I got a blast here in the next half hour or so, which might be before our meeting ends. So my apologize to all of the rest of you. And again, I am stunned. I really shouldn't be surprised, actually, that veterans get up to the kind of adventures that we're all describing tonight. So thank you. Appreciate y'all.
Well, they taught us to see the world and to do things. Not really surprising that we do things. I'm very thankful to be in a group of active people who are doing very awesome things around. So good luck tonight, Wade. We know you're going to knock it out of the park. So last year, I was very fortunate to be at the Louisiana Capitol and rally on the steps there with Tony. And I highly recommend if you have the availability to do so. I wish I could be there this year, but I've been fortunate to be selected to go to Vienna, Austria, and to work on our work at the UN level. So with that, my mentor and our senior diplomat of the cannabis embassy, of which I'm a junior ambassador, he would be the senior big man. So Council Member Michael Krowitz will explain what will be going on next month. Once again, with couple of about 3 or 4 of our council members will be there this year. So tell them all about it, Michael.
Yeah, I got a couple of things on my mind first. I wanted to talk about. First, I wanted to talk about the kind of what I call the cannabis activist basic arithmetic, the devil's arithmetic of where to put your body as a cannabis activist. And this is something that has guided me throughout my tenure as an activist since the very beginning, almost till now. And that is, where can I be most effective? But it's very simple. How many people are doing it already? Especially how many people does the job require? And assess those things very carefully, because often you'll be talking about numbers in maybe thousands, where you're adding your body, it's 1 over 1,000 in strength. And I actually remember a protest I showed up at. We were protesting a judge in Washington, D.C. that had heartlessly thrown this quadriplegic guy locked to his wheelchair without help. He's completely incapable of caring for himself, and they threw him in jail because not only did he possess marijuana, but he was helping his friends in the van hide the marijuana from the police by lying about the fact that it was in the back of his wheelchair. So the judge was particularly pissed at him, so threw him in a lockup where he promptly died. And Laura, I'm trying to think of her name now, for the U.S. Marijuana Party, Loretta Nall, had a protest in front of the judge's chambers there. And everybody else went to the ASA thing, which was really cool. The ASA had a big protest in front of Health and Human Services. There's 100 people there or whatever. But had I not shown up at Loretta's protest, she wouldn't have been able to hold up the banner that she had made. She had a 10-foot banner made, and she could only hold up one end. And I was the other person that showed up at that protest. And we were able to have a protest with a banner in front of the courthouse instead of just Loretta standing there looking helpless in front of the courthouse. That's how much my body meant in that protest, where it would have been literally 1 over 100, in the other venue. And if you want to look at, the reason why our Veterans Action Council is, working at the United Nations, because no one else is there. From our cannabis movement, literally no one else is there. It's an unmanned, sort of outpost in the war on drugs that we've discovered. So we're going to man it until we get someone else that'll come and tap us on the back, hand us a couple of joints, and tell us we're relieved. Right? That's it. Simple. Not very, very difficult, complicated science. So anyway, the second thing I want to talk about is really, this isn't as esoteric as you may think. And I wanted to talk for a minute about why working at the United Nations is particularly important. This process, I mean, first of all, the work that we've already done is quite impressive, and actually was well refuted as undoable, as absolutely impossible. And that was to remove cannabis from the most dangerous drugs list in the United Nations scheduling. And that we did in 2020. That was a pretty big impact thing because it somewhat normalized medical marijuana. As long as cannabis was in the same, schedule as heroin, it was handled the same as heroin in the treaty, that encouraged countries to handle it just like heroin. And, that's a pretty big departure from how we handle it. In our dispensaries, you could look at it as somewhat of an over-the-counter substance. So that disparity couldn't be any bigger. Now there isn't any disparity. Now, without it being in the dangerous drugs, most dangerous drugs category, it's basically it's under treaty control, but that treaty control is basic, and it just requires, the countries to report how much they use, and be good citizens, and making sure that they work against diversion of the stuff that's been designated for medicine and stuff like that. It's not really onerous. It shouldn't be onerous. Most of the stuff that we've heard over the years from countries like ours in the United States about, the treaty requires this and the treaty requires that, was actually the government using the treaty as an excuse. More than anything, the treaty is not that onerous when it comes to medical use, and certainly under doctor's orders, using it carefully, protecting against diversion, making sure people are using a safe product that isn't, full of pesticides or poisons. Number one, these are things we all would say, yeah, we could use help with that. And then number two, that isn't onerous. That's not very far from what we're doing, even at the very most grassroots level under state law, with no help from the feds. Anyway, having said all that, what we're working on, I think in simple terms at the UN, can be seen as somewhat of the other side of the looking glass. So what we're working on now with descheduling at the federal level, once that happens, and once we've changed the federal law, very few people up on Capitol Hill, again, it's where there's nobody there, that's where you'll find me. Very few people on Capitol Hill have actually talked about or discussed what's going to happen next after we deschedule, after the president signs that bill. Well, that's where I've centered my work for quite a while, and centered focused my attention. And I think that is going to be a really interesting moment. And I hope that the work that we're doing at the United Nations will help us prepare for that, and help our government prepare for that. I mean, think about the strange conundrum that we would be in if they don't listen to us, and they don't take our advice, and they don't prepare, and we don't, start adjusting how we do our descheduling to accommodate for this. This is the scenario that would unfold. We would change our national law completely, removing cannabis from schedule, descheduling it. It would be a great thing. And then the next year, since we hadn't changed anything in our treaty compliance and our treaty observation, our executive branch, because we're, big fans of the U.S. Constitution around here, we understand that the executive branch is a different branch of government, has a different mandate, has to follow the treaty obligations that we signed on to, because that's their job under the Constitution. So if we don't change that mandate in Congress, and we don't address that in the, let's call it the court of public opinion, then the executive branch is going to go to Vienna and at the very least have no change in mandate. At the very least, be rather confused in how they're going to approach it. This is not a good thing. When we're talking about international trade, some of the partners that we're working with, like the growers in California, are facing a really, really hard time trying to get through this, transition through legalization, where some of the finest cannabis that's grown in the world up in the northern mountains of California is having trouble surviving, and having trouble, thriving, and even having trouble finding shelf space. I guarantee you, post-prohibition, that kind of cannabis is going to have a world market, and it's going to be something that is going to have no trouble at all supporting the farmers that are growing it, whether it be in Northern California or in Laos and Cambodia or in Acapulco and Colombia. The best cannabis on earth, the land-raised cannabis, is going to rise to the top once we knock down the walls of prohibition. We're 2 walls away from that. You have to knock down the walls between the states and of interstate commerce, and then knock down the walls at the federal level, and then we'll have world commerce, and that's where we're focusing our attention.
High level fun stuff, as we call it. So thank you for your guidance over the decades, Michael Krawitz. He's been at it since the 90s at the international level, and we appreciate your decades worth of work. And I hope that we can see the fruition at the international, which will hopefully cause the natural spilling of the dams all the way down the pipe. So thank you for that.
And I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to the day when we can have access to some of this legendary bud again. You know, people are very spoiled. It's very great cannabis that comes out of the dispensaries that are grown mostly indoors under lights around the country. But there is a sort of a ceiling to that. And if you're a cannabis connoisseur and you're really into the high-end bud, you've been listening to songs like Panama Red from the 70s and wondering when you're ever going to, if it even exists, or when you're ever going to see that. That's when we'll see it. And I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I'm selfish. I just in this for the weed.
And the weed's in it for you. All right. Next up will be Councilmember Mary Lynn Mathry. She has some very exciting news regarding what is happening regarding nursing and cannabis. Councilmember Mathry.
Thank you. And and again, my background comes from the military, which my service time was Nurse Corps, Navy Nurse Corps in the 70s, Vietnam era. Not in Vietnam, but that was last 2 years of college and then 4 years of active duty service. So you're thinking in the 70s, and I found out right away cannabis was medicinal because I'm dealing with veterans who are coming back from Vietnam with a lot of issues. Then subsequently got married to one, but it's a big issue. So Patients Out of Time, my husband and I started in 1995 to educate healthcare professionals and the public about the therapeutic use of cannabis. And out of that, in 2010, came the American Cannabis Nurses Association, which was great. And the best news was just this last fall of 2023. We've completed all the paperwork, and basically it's these new cannabis nurses who did all this grunt work to get it done, but it has been accepted. Cannabis nursing has been accepted by the American Cannabis Nurses, by the American Nurses Association as a recognized specialty nursing practice because of the endocannabinoid system and how this plant works with it. So for all you people listening, make sure your nurses know about this. It's something that we need to now educate all of the nurses about the endocannabinoid system in cannabis. But again, this has been a patient-led issue. Oh boy, I get emotional. and that is very proud to say again, I think it's the 23rd year or 24th year in a row. Nurses have been the most trusted. And I think a lot of it is we are patient-centered. So anyway, yay to other nurses. Thanks.
Councilmember Laughter has a follow-up question for you, Mary Lynn.
I completely agree with your statement about the need for education. It's more of a comment, but you're welcome to correct me if I'm incorrect in my impression. But my impression is that the nurses that I've encountered over the last few years, and I've met a lot of them, let me just leave it at that. When I find myself in conversation with them about cannabis, typically nurses are much more open about that conversation than the doctors I have encountered. What is your experience about that? I know you're not still actively practicing, but how about your opinion on that? Thank you, Mary.
Yeah, and thank you for that question. We're bedside nurses. I mean, we spend our time with the patients. And, it's very tiring for a lot of nurses to deal with pharmaceuticals once you learn about cannabis, to say, why am I doing this? Because I'm going to have to come back to medicate them for the nausea or the constipation or whatever. It's a frustrating thing. Nurses need to know, but we're there. And I think doctors fear their license. It's going to be taken away. But the main thing for nurses is we are supposed to be patient advocates and accept them, where they are, who they are. And again, for me, it's the same for every nurse I encounter. When they get it, when they either see a patient success with the cannabis, or once they learn about the endocannabinoid system and they have enough sense to put that together, it's like, the aha moment, but they get it. And most of them want to support nurses, want to support the efforts for that. The different state nurses associations have been way ahead of the docs in literally putting out position papers supporting access to medical cannabis. And the ANA has been doing this for, I think we got the first one passed. Yikes. Maybe it was 1990 or somewhere along there, but, so they've been supportive of it, but it's like now the fact that they're actually saying, yes, that's a specialty, speaks big. And my push now, a lot of our nurses, the push is to get it. It's like, hello, schools of nursing, you need to get this into curriculum. And for state nurses associations to literally push all practicing nurses get continuing education on this subject. Hopefully I'll be back at one of these sessions to let you know when one of the next big educational sessions is coming from the Academy of Cannabis Education. We'll be looking for that in the spring of 2025.
All right, Council Member Landry. Tony, you have a follow-up.
Yeah, Mary Lynn, I was just wondering about if you envision maybe one day after the descheduling, if have a cannabis triage carts in hospitals where nurses would take it to a room and maybe administer some edibles or tinctures in a hospital setting. You envision something like that happening with the opiate crisis? They don't want to give you pain pills if you have a surgery now. You got to, I heard somebody say the other day, you need to call your doctor before your surgery and make them order your medicine beforehand, make sure it's going to be available because they don't want to give opiates anymore. So do you think maybe they would have something like that, a cannabis triage court in the hospital setting?
That's a great idea. I envision every hospital at this point in time now needs a nurse cannabis consultant to help with any patient. But your idea of a triage thing in the ER, because yes, I mean, we have huge problem with the fentanyl overdose. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other reasons to help with cannabis and to be able to help, but this is a life and death situation. And I mean, the idea that people fear cannabis when we've got people just dying left and right from fentanyl overdoses. We have that's my background in nursing. I was a med-surg nurse, but since 1985, I've been basically an addictions or substance abuse nurse. And again, the more I learned, cannabis is the exit drug as opposed to the gateway drug when it comes to drug problems. And we all understand that once we learn about the endocannabinoid system, and you're like, oh, okay, it's working with this system to keep me in balance. The other drugs, fentanyl, whatever, not only puts you out of balance, it easily kills you and kills unsuspecting people who just happen to get, it's so potent. It doesn't take much. We criminalize drug problems as opposed to deal with them. And they really belong in the health industry. Having nurses in the ER and helping the patient get to that, when they're too high, it's like, you don't need to medicate them with all this other crap. You can help somebody when they're just getting into that, think they're going to die because they took too much cannabis, just having somebody there help them instead of,
it would be a different type of med math there specifically for it. But currently, I've dated somebody years ago who was going through nursing school, and that's something that they heavily beat into them is the med math. And if you fail med math, you're not going to be a nurse because you can kill somebody with the wrong dosage. That's again, you're talking over, what is it? 5 million now different types of medications or something like that. There's an obnoxious amount of choices that doctors have given specifically the type of situation you have with, and many of these things are toxic. So why we look towards cannabis is because of its the non-toxic nature, as well as it would be interesting to see the calculations that will be behind milligrams for that actual med math, specifically with like a CBD to THC ratio on top of that. Just fascinating. Councilmember Crowitz has a follow-up. Let him go here.
Oh, sorry, don't want to interrupt, Marilyn. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, Marilyn. I want to ask you. I'm going to tell you a very quick true story, and I want you to see if you could apply it to cannabis. Tell me if you could think of a way that in an abstract sense you could apply this to cannabis today. So anyway, the story was, when I was in the Army hospital, they're laid up in Hawaii. Terrible place to be laid up. I admit, there was a really great place to get stuck for a few months in a hospital. If you had to have your leg up in the air, it was Tripler Army Medical Center in Honolulu, Hawaii. But nonetheless, it was rough for a lot of people. It had all these casts and stuff like that, and I guess seeing that compassionately, the nurses at the nurses station had a big bowl of Sudafed, and at that time Sudafed was still a prescription drug. So they took these prescription bottles and they dumped them out into this thing, these little wrap tab things that you could just take one as a patient. You didn't have to ask or anything. And that orthopedic ward at the nurses station was a bowl of basically illegal drugs. I mean, these were controlled substances that weren't being given by prescription, that were supposed to be by prescription. Now, never mind the fact that, several years later, they were finally made non-prescription. I think I can see a parallel there somehow to cannabis. And I'm just wondering if you see a corollary. Like, we're really having trouble imagining how cannabis is going to go through this transition. It's certainly not going to become dispensary and then all of a sudden prescription. There's no magic wand. There's no magic FDA approval. What do you see for the virtual, Sudafed bowl of weed for these vets?
To me, I worry more about Sudafed by a long shot. Cannabis, it's got such a margin of safety for cannabis. You're not going to, but I see it that it should be very, very simple. Home grow to start, just deschedule to start, so anyone can grow it. People don't grow their medicine for the most part. Most people don't grow their tomatoes. They'll go buy them from a store, and they'll get processed ones from a store, but you got to let it be grown. And in fact, when people again recognize the value of this plant, we should be having government incentives to get people to grow, whether it be cannabis or hemp. But so on that level, and then any products that are made, I look at them to an extent, if they're made similar as other herbs, that we want to make sure they're using the good manufacturing processes, that they're just not willy-nilly. Is it labeled? Is it tested? And is it labeled correctly? The contaminants, those issues. That if you're buying a product that is somehow processed, the public just wants to know something. There's somebody hopefully assessing and making sure that you have what you have. And I have no problem with high penalties for any company selling crap that's not what they say. They knowingly, are lying about what's in it. We've seen that before already. And my other worry right now, just about the products that are available to patients right now, because I see it in Virginia. People sometimes don't understand when they say they're not taking care of the medical community. It's now all the recreational is winning. It's like you see products of a chocolate candy bar with 500 milligrams broken into 10 squares. So you can start with your 10 milligram square of, an edible THC, of which can put some poor patient, 10 milligrams is one thing. That's 50 milligrams for a little square to start, so it's like, I look there and I go, what are these patients starting with? And again, Virginia is medical now and you can grow your own, but we're just beginning. So we're babies compared to, what you can find in California, and the educated people at the dispensaries, they can tell you so much more because they've been dealing with known substances. And we're all learning that cannabis is not a drug. It's not a thing. It's a plant that comes in a zillion varieties. And it's like, what is that combination that's best for me. What's the best dose for me? It's so individual. And again, in nursing practice and in medical practice, that's the key. Individualized patient care. You have to look at the whole patient and their individual. And cannabis is so, it makes sense. And again, what's the status of their endocannabinoid system? If it's low, if it's deficient, it's like pancreas, give them some insulin. Well, let's give them some more cannabis. It makes so much sense. And yeah, it's just how to get rid of the stigma. And if we can just educate people, nurses who don't know, and patients who don't know, and they experience it, it's just like, wow. I mean, and you think of the kids with seizure disorders and the drugs they get put on, and then all of a sudden they try high CBD product and the seizures stop. And it's like, why hasn't somebody told me this before? Anyway, Michael, I went too long on that axis, but products I think need to be regulated, but that plant should be available and people should be able to buy it as a flower. And we should teach people how to use it as a food, whether it be the oil or the leaves, juicing it, whatever. It's such a good plant. We need to be advocating for it, because I look at it as health maintenance and health promotion more than just a medicine.
Thank you, Marilyn. We appreciate that update as well as that discussion, and we hope more nurses get educated. Next up, we are going to go to San Diego, and our brother Brian Buckley is going to be hosting an event with his organization, Battle Brothers Foundation, and I will let Mr. Buckley take it from there, council member.
Thank you very much, and great to be here with you all tonight. So yes, on March 23rd, atop the Symphony Towers in downtown San Diego, the Battle Brothers Foundation will be holding our inaugural Veterans Hero Ball at the University Club. This is a black tie optional event, and the purpose of this event is to not just celebrate our veterans, but also the amazing patriots that support the veterans. A lot of times I find civilians, they don't really know what to do or say because they never served. Well, the way I looked at it is we all raised our right hands, went downrange and fought for you. Now it's our turn to fight for the veterans when they return. As many of you know, during the War on Terror, there was about 7,070 men and women killed on the battlefield. During that same period, there's been around 31,000 veterans who have committed suicide back in the United States of America. So essentially, all of us here on this call are in more danger than we were when we were in Iraq, Vietnam, Afghanistan, wherever the bad place was in the world we went to go fight. And what we're going to raise funds for in particular for this event is our Institutional Review Board approved study, which an IRB falls under the FDA, is to see if medical cannabis can reduce the symptoms of post-traumatic stress with veterans. We are working with a firm out of Israel called Niamedic Healthcare and Research Services. They will be the ones who will be leading the research. And we also have the University of California at Irvine as our principal investigators. So we have Israeli doctors working with U.S. veterans and American doctors validating everything that has happened. The goal is to create a recommended treatment protocol in a formulation, and we'll then move into a different state to prove that's repeatable and accessible, having the same results. And then at that point, we have taken it about as far as we can. As you guys know, the V.A.C. has been heavily involved with members of Congress. They would provide us a platform, raise the right hand saying, there's your data, there's your American doctors. Can we proceed with FDA double-blind study, with the end state of getting our medical product into the VA system, thus making medical cannabis federally legal, not just for veterans, but for any patient that could benefit from the medicine. And the key word, having it prescribed. The veteran wouldn't have to pay. It would just be like getting aspirin from the VA. So we're really passionate about this program. We've been trying to do things organically within the state of California on the cannabis community. We've been coming up short. So now we just put a lot of money into this event to really bring out some people, not just to educate them, but to gain some funds and to conduct some data-driven research. Again, there's a lot of opportunities. You can come and visit or be there on your own. You can help sponsor, you can donate raffle auctions, or if you can't make it, you can actually donate and sponsor a veteran and their spouse, where they'll be able to go free of charge due to you. Free food, open bar, free valet. That's really important in San Diego. And it's going to be an amazing event. And to tee it up just a little bit, one of our auction items will be an all expense paid trip to Thailand to stay in a 5-star resort that is cannabis friendly. The guy who's putting together is going to make it outstanding for the veteran and their spouse. And it should be just a one of a kind type of trip, but a lot of other things involved in that as well. So again, we need the help. We're putting this together. Please come out, find whatever you got, and donate to an amazing cause, because we are committed to changing the medical landscape of our country. Now I'll open up to any questions. That impactful. Boom. No questions. That's a successful brief, man, when you have no questions. All right, let's go. We're going to go fight some dudes.
There we go. So it's going to be a very busy March for our V.A.C. family here. So thank you very much, Councilmember Buckley, for everything that you're doing for veterans. And we know the money is being raised to do research on post-traumatic stress. So we appreciate everything that you're doing, and keep up the great work. And thank you to your entire team for what you're doing. And yeah, good luck out there competing for that's an amazing prize in Thailand. So yeah, outstanding work, people. All right, with that, that's going to kind of wrap up our V.A.C. check-ins. There's a lot going on for us as a group. We've got many things happening, irons in the fire, and we're going to continue as we're on. So we'll be back in 2 weeks. We will be out mid-March because we're all busy doing things, but we'll be back at the end of March as well. So thank you, everybody, for joining us for V.A.C. Roundtable number 70. This was check-ins with our V.A.C. members and what's going on in the month of March for us all. So y'all have a wonderful rest of your night and evening, and we'll see y'all in 2 weeks.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at Pace Radio.